But if you can't do that and you're not sure, if there's enough information, you could change your hypothesis a little bit, okay? And try to choose something that you can experiment. So for example, if I want to say, what is heavier, this or this? So that is my question, right? Mm-hmm. My hypothesis is this blue marker is heavier, okay? Mm-hmm. So I could do an experiment very easy, right? By taking a scale and weighing this, seeing how heavy this is, and then putting this one on a scale and seeing how heavy this is, okay? So when you do a hypothesis, just make sure that you can find the answer by measuring something or by, just a way that you can find the answer better, okay? Mm-hmm. Other than just guessing, because we don't want to guess twice, right? We really need to see if our guess is right. And the third thing is be useful in predicting new findings. Okay, so this one is very important too. So you don't want to say, how many flavors of ice cream are there, right? Because this is something that people already know. Maybe you can find new flavors, but it's not a new finding. It's not something that nobody in this world knows.
Yeah, it's like for your toys example, so you can say, is this, be useful in predicting new findings. Like for example, you ask, why is there a watermelon in the mouth? Most people just buy this for fun, but this is what scientists do. So perhaps he is eating one, or her mouth is very big and he just puts the whole thing in there.
Yeah, in the mouth, that's right. So when you're doing all this, just make sure that, you're trying to find something new, something that a lot of people don't know. Okay, so that is the most important thing about science, just finding new things every day. Alrighty, so let's answer this question real quick. So look at this dinosaur here, and then I'm going to turn the page so you can see the other one. And so the question is, which of these dinosaurs was a meat eater and which was a plant eater? Form a hypothesis to answer the question. So you kind of answered it already, right? But
let's look closely on the other. Maybe they have super sharp teeth than this one.
All right, so look at this one carefully, and then I'm going to turn the page, okay?
3, 2, go.
Look at that.
Whoa. It's hard to explain, the teeth are both very sharp, but this is very small.
All right, so this is the mouth right here, and you can see they're actually very interesting teeth. So let's look at it closer.
One is pretty big like this. One is just a little tiny bit up here. Just up
here. Yeah, so what would your hypothesis be?
Well, maybe. This is a maybe. Not exactly what I think. Maybe this one is a plant eater and that one is a meat eater, because they really got huge teeth to chop off the bones and get some meat to eat.
Very good. Yeah.
They're also sharp, but I think this is more for plant.
Oh, good. Yeah. So how you said maybe, that's good, right? Because a hypothesis, remember, a hypothesis doesn't have to be correct all the time. As long as you're using information that you know, right? So to make your hypothesis, you use the information you know about really sharp teeth being, to break meat and bones and stuff like that, right? So you didn't just say, oh, this one right here is a plant eater because it's ugly. That's not a smart hypothesis, right?
Yeah.
So you made a very smart hypothesis, so that's good. Okay, and your hypothesis is correct. Okay, so any animal that has a very flat teeth will normally be a omnivore. And maybe not really a herbivore, right? Because either way, this animal couldn't really eat meat at all. They couldn't really chop up, those pieces.
Yeah, but the plant, is also pretty sick. But if you have flat teeth, how would, like eat a grape, like an apple? How about a peach, because they got one big one? So you gotta chop, 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 and then you just can't chop off any way farther because your teeth aren't strong to chop the seed.
Yeah, so these animals have, as you can see by the size of their skulls, they were very big animals. So if you look at our teeth, so human teeth, most of them are pretty flat, right? We don't have these huge, teeth like tigers, right?
Like sharp teeth,
Yeah, so we do have a few, which are like these right here. There's 4 teeth that are kind of a little bit pointy, but not very, very pointy, right?
Yeah, not like...
Right. So this gives us the idea that maybe we're omnivores. We eat meat, but we also eat plants, and that's very true, right? Well, there's people who only eat plants, and there's people who don't like vegetables, but that's very bad, right? But most humans, eat a little bit of both, okay? But in this case, look at this animal here. It's completely flat. So even if this animal is trying to eat a little piece of meat, it's probably just gonna choke on it, right? Because it doesn't really have those teeth to really, tear that meat apart.
Yes, but I was thinking maybe, a large carnivore 10 times bigger than this one, and then, like you just eat him or her or it. You just eat him, and the carnivore, that dinosaur that eats him, is, very light to eat teeth, and maybe he just eats the teeth off.
It could be, yeah. But for example, if you look at this one here, this one can eat pretty much anything, right? They can eat meat, and they can eat plants, but I don't think these animals really like to eat plants, so they just only look for meat. This is kind of scary though, the size of these teeth.
But they're just so not scary.
Okay.